fellow fans of College Boy Taisen, we have some unfortunate news. You see, we have already recorded something today, about an hour and 27 minutes.
It was beautiful. It was
of
great.
Nice, long, uninterrupted discussion.
Might have been my favorite
that's where
episode.
the caveat is. That's where the caveat is. When I meant we were recording, I meant Jacob was recording.
Jacob was audio, recording. I'll send it to you. It's
Jacob, great. If you guys want the Jacob cut of CBT, put it down in the comments. But basically, Audacity is a little two-faced, a little faked, because
just some stuff was going on.
We have unfortunately my half is gone, or maybe it never existed in the first place. And me and Jacob, we sat around for a couple minutes, man. We were feeling down in despair. We were ready to pull the trigger, maybe even.
Whoa, chill, chill.
And in the midst of, and unfortunately, we did not get to see the sunrise. It had passed. But in the hopes of our darkness, we remembered to smile, and we woke up to what we had to do.
And the real battle started there.
The real
as we
basically last week on College Boy Taisen, we promised to do this week's episode is going to be about Ultraman Decker and Black Sun. We did that, but as I told you earlier, it did not work out. So the plan is, as we decided,
after some crying,
today's episode is going to be a full-out Ultraman Decker discussion. So this is the spoiler warning now.
At some point.
The spoiler warning now for episodes 1 all the way to whatever the fuck we're at, 17, 18. And we're saving the Black Sun discussion for another episode in which we would like to have a guest, preferably one who has seen the entirety of the show.
I'm begging. I'm on my knees. Please, I'm begging for a guest. I really want a guest. Not that this sounds terrible. Not that I don't enjoy talking to. We like talking to each other, but
we like having guests.
I'm begging to spice up the content just for you guys, not for us, for you. But now
everything's for the audience.
You want to know what else? I realized? We did not talk about how our weeks went. You know what?
We didn't mention Chris. We didn't talk about our weeks. So we didn't do anything.
Shout out Chris.
Shout out before. We decided that us not mentioning Chris in the previous recording is why everything went wrong. It's our staple. It's our brand. So shout out Chris.
He cares. Shout out to Levi. I know you care too. I appreciate the listening while you write
Thank you, Shinobi.
Go read the Shinobi
fanfic. We love them. And so as a whole, if you would like to be a guest maybe for this show, and you've seen Black Sun, hit us up. We'll get you on sometime. But until then, we'll save that. We'll put it in the vault. But again, for now, we're talking about Ultraman Decker.
Flash time.
Yeah. We really wanted to do this because not only did I promise that we would, but I spent the last day binging this show, and I did not want to let it go to waste.
And on top of that,
I have thoughts.
Been looking forward to it.
So, do you want to lead us off again, Jacob?
Once again.
Or do you want?
Ghia, what are your thoughts on Ultraman Decker? Not that I've heard them before.
I'll cook up something new. But basically, I think the first half is a little slow until Trigger comes in. It picks up because it starts to put in Kanata and a bit of a spectacle of what he has as a character. And then the show just decides to completely flip the script and throw in a twist. And I'm still confused on what it really means because it kind of just went away, kind of, but not really. Yeah, I don't know. Well, this week's a recap episode, so we'll see more. But
this is a recap podcast.
I know, as a whole, a lot of people really do love Trigger, and it's Decker.
Dapper?
Depper.
Ultraman Dapper?
People do not love Trigger. That was a false statement. But
damn.
I know people love Decker. People have been really enjoying Decker every week. I hear the big raves about Decker Fridays. Everyone's going crazy every new
Decker
episode.
Fridays. I love that Twitter account.
Wake up, babe! Usumi Kanata is outside our door. It's great.
I hit myself.
And I hate to report that maybe I just don't see the hype. Maybe I'm just not feeling it like everyone else.
He hasn't woken up yet. It's okay.
But it's good. I don't know if I can say it's great, but it's good. I really enjoy what it's going for. I feel like this is something I always like to bring up when it comes to like us talking about shows on here. Mm-hmm. But I kind of, even though it's a little muddled to me, I like the theme. I like the message that it's slowly kind of building together as we kind of learn what Kanata is about. Well, he's also learning it about himself, and it's an interesting deal.
I concur wholeheartedly. I'm sorry, I'm still like disassociated right now, so excuse me. But it's weird because like, you know, as I said in the previous recording, but
we're gonna be referencing that a lot.
I'm so sorry. I don't mean that like to be like Ghia, but like, you know, it's funny now. It's actually kind of funny now.
No, we're laughing.
But a lot of people I think love Decker because they did not like Trigger. But they love Decker because it is not necessarily closer to what Dyna was, but it's just a good show, I guess.
I feel like the Toku fandom likes to do that a lot. Like, I feel like sure, everyone can agree that I guess a majority of people can agree that Revice's first arc was good, and I also liked Revice's first arc. But I was also one of the people that was criticizing it a lot of certain things here and there, even while I still liked it. And I feel like maybe I'm not saying there's like a common thing or a science thing going on here. I don't know, but I was someone who enjoyed Saber. Like by the time Revice started, I loved Saber, and I was more easily able to criticize Revice's first arc as compared to a lot of people who just kind of didn't want Saber anymore and just like hated Saber. So they're just kind of glad Revice was around, but when that started to wear off, people really started to, I don't know, change.
Yeah, there is.
I don't know if that'll happen to Decker, since it's a shorter show, it's a shorter runtime.
Like not the revisionist. Revisionist like type of view, or do you mean more so like people will go, the first half wasn't as good.
See, here's I feel like. I don't know. I feel like Ultraman fans probably won't be as like bad about it, maybe as Kamen Rider fans are about like something like Saber. I know Trigger haters are really, really crazy and weird sometimes, but I don't know. I feel like they're a bit more lax, and so maybe it's I don't think it'll turn into like a hatred like it kind of did for Revice a little bit. But I think it'll be kind of like maybe like once like the bitter taste of Trigger or whatever the fuck is like long and gone, and they go back to revisit it, and it's like, oh man, maybe this show's kind of I just wanted something that wasn't Trigger, and like they from there they can gather their opinions, and maybe they can be like me who doesn't care really about Trigger and just like, wow, this show was kind of mid to start off, and then Trigger came in, and it was a good show. Trigger fixed Decker. Fuck everybody.
Yup. Here on the CBT, we love Trigger. I do. I adore Trigger. Just because I hate Tiga.
I will fully admit it. Trigger, in my opinion, is when the show started to get good. It took off for me, and it's so. I feel like it's so good. Not to like, this doesn't say or prove that what I'm saying is right, but like the fact that Kanata constantly mentions what Kengo said to him in the episode afterwards, even after the fact that he leaves. I really just love all of that. Like I really love when they show challenges a character's ideals, especially when it's a little bit of a flat character, a little bit of an empty character. Not to say that Kanata is boring. I don't find Kanata boring, but I like that. I don't know. It's not that he was purposely made to be boring, but it's just like, oh, he's purposely meant to be someone who's aimless or like a little careless. Like he said in like I forgot the number of the episode, but it was a certain episode where he was just talking to Ryuma, and like him and Ryuma always have like their conflict of like, oh, why are you doing this? And in one episode, he was just like, oh, I'm just like kind of cruising through life. I'm like, I'm carefree. I'm laid back. I'm going with the flow and stuff. And I like when characters like that are finally like challenged.
Yeah.
Of what it means, of like what they want to do in their life, especially with like someone who's with like Kanata, who's very young still.
And it's also, it's also like he just kind of, as you said, he just kind of like he's just carefree, so he's just coasting. And I'm glad they do bring attention to it, because like even the first episode, it's like, dude, you're selling rice crackers. Why are you like shooting? Why are you like trying to fight? And he's like, I'm just doing it, which I respect. I respect the but I'm glad they go, all right. So you're Decker now. What are you doing aside from fighting the sphere? What's your like dream or goal? And it's like, as you said, it's like, I don't know. But then I sort of like how it becomes, my goal is to get a goal or something,
Yeah. It sort of reminds me of O's in a little bit of a fashion, of how they kind of had a similar deal with the main character. Of like, oh, I don't know really what my desire is. And then his desire slowly became like built up upon having so many experiences as O's.
Yeah.
I definitely I feel like that's the big appeal for me with Decker right now, of just seeing I'm buckled in to see the end result of where Kanata's character goes, and I'm ultimately staying in for the ride to see what he ultimately chooses to do with his life, which I feel like will be like a big scene in the finale. Where he has like a big speech or something.
Even like I'm not to divert your point, but like just the entirety of Decker interests me because of what they're aping from Dinah. Because I don't really want to say how Dinah ends in a way where it's kind of like, oh, it's just like that. It's really, I don't want to say it unless you want to know, but like it's.
I'll probably never.
I'm not trying to pressure you. Okay, so at the end of Dinah himself saves the universe basically, but the cost is that he gets thrown into a black hole, and he just can't go back to his home universe. But he travels the universes, so I don't get why he just can't go home. But that's fine. Whatever, you do you, buddy. But no, he literally ends with him in a black hole, and he's like, well, I guess I'll just go to a different universe and protect it. It's like, all right, you do you. And then everyone else is like, oh, Asuka's gone. That sucks. And, they deal with that, and then, there's all other stuff. But I do wonder if this show will, replicate that, and we'll get a moment where Kanata's just gone. Or, not due to a black hole, but to me it seems sort of like maybe he gets sent to the future and he gets stuck there or something, But I don't know if that'll happen. I've seen some people say, oh, I have an idea of how this show's going to end. I'm like, how do you have an idea of how it's going to end? And mind you, not to hate on those people. I don't really care. You do you. But this was before the Terra Phaser episodes with the scientist guy and future Decker. How do you have an idea from that or before that? That turns the show on its head in a way, I feel.
Yeah. Especially because it really feels like these new gen Ultra shows, especially they like to shift course at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
And it's oh, it's not really what you expect anymore.
Like I know I'm gonna use Jeet as the example here, but like because I know you've seen it, but like you said,
when Zero dies and everything, and it's like, oh, all of a sudden this is something different.
Zero dies, or even like, what's his face? Okay, that's his name, right? The monster
officer
guy. No.
The writer man, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, he gets beaten by Jeed Magnificent,
yeah.
And he's basically gone, and then it becomes kind of like a Monster of the Week show for a minute, and then they throw Belial back in.
Yeah, Belial somehow sneaks onto Earth as like a human girl.
So, they do that thing where it's like, okay, second half, different show. Rube does it, Zek kind of does it, not really, but, But, Trigger doesn't either, but Trigger is more serialized, I guess, I don't know. But even this show is weird because it's like, it was I don't want to say it was nothing for the first 8 episodes, but, it was like... we talked about this in the old recording, but like...
Yeah, I said in the previous recording, and it's something I actually would like to elaborate on. I said in the previous recording that in hindsight, all the stuff with Trigger, like what he told about Kanata and like not having a goal, and Kanata's like his way of going through life is a little bit empty or flawed, or of just like, oh, eventually he's gonna want a goal. He's gonna try to have a goal. And that puts in my opinion, that puts the previous episodes beforehand into not an entirely different light, but more so feels like elaboration of just like, oh, the entire time Kanata's been running off his ideology, and sure, it may not be a completely flawed one. It's I don't know what to find the word. Maybe like immature, maybe incomplete.
I think I would go with incomplete.
Sure, he's going on as Decker and he's doing his thing and he's part of Gut Select, but like he's kind of still incomplete as a person. He doesn't know exactly where he's going. He's aimless. And like, sure, he's a good fighter. He's a good protector of the Earth, but he's more so just living in the moment rather than thinking about the future. And that is what you will. And sure, that's it's neither here nor there on whether or not that's a good thing. But it's clear that Decker is just trying to make a point of like, sure, living in the moment is good for a certain amount of time, but the future will always come. So it's at least good to know where you're gonna go with that. And in general, I really like how Trigger... Did I say Trigger? Damn it. Decker. Decker... I really like how Decker's characters start to embody that the more I think about it in hindsight of just like living in the moment and living in the moment is a bit positive considering like all of them are kind of in a tragedy. So I guess making the best out of a bad situation. That's basically what all the characters are trying to do. All of them have this backstory of they were meant to do this, or they had a different plan in life, or they were set up for something different.
Oh my god, I never noticed that.
And they were set up for something different. And so all of them, whether it was because of their personal life choices, or whether the sphere set up a giant barrier around the Earth and fucked everything up, they are forced to do something different with their lives. And so it's just a group of people trying to just make the best out of that situation.
And Hanejiro.
And Hanaji, yeah, he's there. He's fun.
We did.
Even then Hanejiro.
Wait, you're right.
Because he was supposed to just be like a space development AI, and he ended up being he developed into a full on like combat.
And he has like he didn't even have a personality too.
Yeah, he's basically just a human robot dude.
No,
and he was meant to be. He was meant to be like it's a whole conversation too of like if living in the moment is so bad, because arguably the members of Gut Select are kind of better off now in their lives than they were before. Just their simple plans, like they're better people, they're stronger people, they're more of a unit. Like I think the biggest example I can think of is Ryumon, which Ryumon, like you said, he was a rich guy with a rich background. He had everything in his life, but he was kind of still a little aimless. He was just walking around. He was closed off from other people. He was shut off. But now he's part of a unit. He's part of a team. He has people like Asumi and Kirino. He's slowly breaking down his barrier. No pun intended. He they are all better off, and there's it's just like a bit by bit dissection of what exactly makes them like what makes them better in their position than Kanata is, because Kanata is arguably doing the same. He's making the best out of his current situation, which is that's what Kanata's been doing, like from episode 1. Like oh shit, just aliens coming in, I'm grabbing a gun, I'm gonna shoot them up. I got sucked into a sphere.
Your name's Decker? Yeah, sure, whatever, I don't care.
Hell yeah. And like he makes a point out of it when in that big twist episode, and he's like, I'm not doing this just because I got dragged in, I'm doing this because I want to, and I'll make the best out of it, and I'll protect the earth, blah blah blah, this and that.
And he's like,
but the thing that's still kind of sets Kanata off from everybody else is that it really feels like the other characters know, like now that they know that like their previous goals and their previous lives are kind of gone, they've readjusted to the point where they now have these new goals. They each have their own new goals with the situation they're in. And while Kanata has adapted to the situation he's in, he still doesn't really have a goal from it. And which is why arguably my favorite scene, which something I will talk about later, the action in the show is amazing. I actually really do like it.
Yes.
But my favorite scene arguably is fuck, damn it is in the Trigger episode.
No.
My favorite scene is when Kanata is put to sleep by the bootleg flower that looked like Kengo's. And he has this whole thing of like, oh man, is my ideal future like is my ideal world just like back selling rice crackers like with all the people I know now? And he's like, no, wait, no, I don't want to do this. This is not my ideal world. And it's like I think it's really interesting of like, oh, initially it felt like Kanata's goal was to just get back to the way things are and sell rice crackers because he was happy that way. But now it's like it's interesting to see that like he doesn't want that anymore, and like that's not his goal, or like what if it was his goal, it's definitely not anymore. And how just like, oh, like how after everything, how could he just go back to selling rice crackers? How could that just be the end goal of everything? And then now with that gone, it's just like, okay, now what is he gonna chase after? Which again, that's why I'm probably gonna, hopefully, I'm gonna try my hardest to keep up. But that's why I'm sticking along with this show. I very much like the focus on Kanata's on his goal, and I want to see the end of it.
I think the benefit of like, well, first thing. I think it's interesting that like Kanata has just been kind of not necessarily. On one hand, he's forced himself into like every situation, or like gotten himself to every. He's forced himself to get where he is now, but at the same time, he's not necessarily like been chosen to do it when you think about it, because like he's only Decker because the only way the light can only go to like people of his family or whatever it was. I think that was what it is, or it's something along those lines, I believe. But
the
even
light
that
existed or something.
Yeah, but it wasn't supposed to be him. Like the guy in the future is Decker. That's his name. It literally, and even he didn't like because.
Small side tangent. That made me thinking. Does that mean like it's his like it really should be like Ultraman Kanata instead, or is it?
I guess it should technically be.
Because the guy, like his name is Ultraman Decker, because just that's his name.
There's sort of like a weird thing that I've talked about it with some like Ultra people, but like I do wonder like if it's a thing where like Decker has existed already, because it's like, okay, Flash type everyone gets, but then the whole thing is like, oh, this is your unique form. That's a whole thing. We'll talk about
actually,
it.
we will get to it. But continue what you're saying.
We'll get to it in a little bit. We'll get to it in a little bit. But like, what was I talking about? What was the point of this? And the point of Kanata not being chosen for everything. That's what it was. But like,
yeah.
The forms that he uses aren't his. Aside from Flash type, I think I could be wrong, but the implication is that Strong and Miracle, he was gifted those. He was like, oh, I knew what power you, Future Decker, whose name is just Decker, but I'm gonna call him Future Decker for simplicity's sake, or just Jin, do whatever you want. But Future Decker is like, oh, I knew what power you needed, so I sent it to you. By the way, I think that's cool. I think that is sick as hell. That he's like, oh, fuck, he needs this. I'm sending it to him. I think that's sick. But, they're not his powers. He didn't even, it wasn't like a thing of like, oh, I needed this power to give to myself. Or I unlocked it. No, it was literally, oh, this guy needs the power. I'm going to send it to him. And no, it culminates in a way, I think, with Dynamic Type's debut of like, Future Decker going, oh shit. You're actually like not better at this, but like you're more suited to fight here, and it culminates in getting Dynamic Type for Kanata, which is his own thing, and Future Decker's like, oh, that's yours, all right, you got this, and I don't know, I think it's interesting that it's like, because a lot of the time in these shows, I'm sorry for going on so long, but like. A lot of the time, the Ultra Protag, or the main character rather, I don't know why I said it like that, but the main dude is kind of just let onto the team. But in this, Kanata actually has to work for it. Like, we get an episode or two of him not on Gut Select, which I think is very cool, and I think I do agree with a lot of people, that was neat to see. But I also disagree with, like, not going back to the episodes for a second. The first episode was just kind of your standard episode, so I don't know why people really hyped that one up so much. But, that's due to the trigger thing, which we got into last time, but I don't think we need to get into now. But, no, I think Kanata's great. I think he's similar enough to main Ultra characters of the past, but he's also, I like that he's aimless, but we're getting to his goal eventually, probably. I just think he's great. I think he's cool.
I really do like how Dynamic is supposed to be his unique thing. Like, if it's the culmination of Kanata making the best out of the current situation he's in, while also like kind of like truly making, like not only making the best of the situation, but taking control of it entirely. Yeah. Because again, like you said, Decker isn't his. It's Decker's, but that's a weird sentence. But it's not his, but he's Decker now. And then like it doesn't matter who Decker was before or who Decker's gonna be. What matters is who Decker is now.
As he said, the real battle starts now.
And I really something like again I like the message or the themings of what it is to do in your current situation. And then what it means to try your best in whatever situation you're in, and the relation to that of the whole plot of the fucking future war, or apparently whatever happened to the future. And
we gotta come back to this when the show's over, so we can be like,
yeah,
all right, this is the fucking future war, or whatever it was, if they address it more.
And like Agam's the whole thing of like. Sure, but like humanity may be in a situation now, but like you guys are gonna go over and fuck people over and stuff,
which is crazy.
And I feel like the foil here, or what's supposed to make like him different to Kanata, because that's how a villain is. They have a similar thing to the main character, but they have something different in a way. And I feel like the thing is with Agam's, God, that name's kind of weird. The Professor Man, Ultraman be having the weird ass names. I'm sorry, but
my name's Decker. Shut up.
My name Lepia.
Lepia. I forgot that was his name.
Yeah, but like it like. I've been thinking about this in a while. It's hard to think about this while I was watching the episodes, but I'm gathering it now. The whole thing with the professor is that he feels like he's supposed to reflect Kanata. Instead of like choosing to make the best out of his current situation and like help out his planet, he chose to literally go into an entirely different situation by going back to the past and just like, you know, fucking it up and trying to get revenge on the Earth. And I like that. I also like that that's something else the original Decker tried to do. And you know, it's arguably what makes him a little bit different from Kanata. And that's why, you know, he has his own Decker. He has his dynamic, which, you know, has Dyna in the name. Haha, they did it.
Haha. Maybe we'll see him become Ultraman Decker Dynus. That's a whole thing. I can explain
something. I went about this in the previous recording.
Ooh.
But I went on a comedic little tangent about. I think it's a little bit ridiculous how nobody in this show knows that Kanata is Ultraman, even though it's so fucking obvious in my personal opinion. And I can understand with like the main cast of characters of like, oh, maybe they don't care, or maybe they're just like, man, Kanata's a little bit too much of an idiot to be Ultraman. But my problem is, how did the professor not know he's Ultraman? Like, beforehand, sure, yeah, whatever. When we didn't know he's actually like an evil like alien dude from the future, yeah, sure. But like, he had to find out he was Ultraman from Hanajiro's like a copied version of Hanajiro's data, and he's like, wait a minute.
Which,
he's
by the
Decker?
way, that's crazy. That whole thing of like Kanata getting exposed because of the Hanajiro.
I thought it would lead to something, but no, I guess it just led to him like, oh man, now that I know who Decker is, I can execute my plans or something.
I thought it was more interesting because it's like they set it up, and I was like, all right, that's that. They're never gonna bring it up again, right? And then it's like, oh yeah. Shit, he didn't. It's not like he figured it out. He just he was like, oh, I'm gonna check this file. Oh, he's Decker.
It's like my question is exactly. Okay, he's from the future. It's not like he just knows Decker is like an Ultraman that exists. Like he knew Decker the person. Like he made it very clear when Decker came back from the future to the past, and he was like, "So you followed me here too." And like Decker went as far as to like list like the girl that he's taking revenge for. So like very clearly they knew each other. And so it's like, okay, so if you know Decker, and you know Decker's an Ultraman, and you know that Decker, like there's no way you didn't notice, like, Kanata has the same fucking deck holder on his wrist, on his belt that Decker did in the future, and you didn't know he was Ultraman. So the second I found out that the professor, like, not only was the professor evil, but he also knew another Decker, I was like, all right.
I think that's kind of like the fact that like that whole like thing of like, all right, future Decker going, all right, you've served your purpose, Kanata. I'm gonna take it from here. But then like the thing is that okay, Agams or whatever it is, I don't know how to pronounce it. The Agams is like, Agam knows how Decker fights, so he literally counters him pretty easily. But the fact when Kanata starts fighting him, Kanata is able to beat him because, you know, he's completely different, obviously. But, like, it's just kind of the fact that, like...
You reminded me of something I wanted to talk about. See, this is the perks of a new recording.
Yep.
I absolutely love the difference in... I don't know if it's just a straight up different suit actor as a whole, or if it's just the same actor being able to have a really good range. But I love the difference between Kanata and Decker when they're transformed. It is so fun.
It is fantastic.
Decker feels like more like a wrestler, even like a WWE wrestler. Like he's always like throwing around his hands and pointing out and doing weird poses. When he did the come here, motion when he transformed, I was like, ooh. nice, bro.
No, I
And like
love
I
that.
didn't
And
know.
like
I didn't know he was the one that did like the scene I saw from Twitter of like, oh, I didn't know, like, I never knew I needed a scene of an Ultraman getting annoyed at their color timer so badly.
I love when like suit actors are able to do that, and I think it might be the same suit actor. I could be wrong, but we don't fact check here at College Boy Tyson. But we just get real. But no, I love that like you see it like, you know, I'm gonna bring this up because it's, you know, it's just an example, but like Geo with like the difference between Geo 2 and like regular Geo, or like Oma Geo to Geo, you know, it's like that is still Seiji Takaiwa doing it, but he's pulling it off so well. And you know, even Seiji Takaiwa with Deno, like he's pulling off like 5 different characters, or like 6, you know, and it's just
Yeah.
really impressive. And like, you know, 012 with like the difference between Metal Cluster Hopper and, you know, when Aruto's in control, like that whole thing, that's great too. But I especially with Decker, I really loved Future Decker as Decker, and it made me want like a cocky bastard type of Ultraman like we have with
With
Geats.
Ace right now, yeah.
Yeah, I love to see that. I love to see them do that. But I don't know if they would. Zero is kind of like that, to be honest. Zero kind of plays like this, but like this specific like way he's playing Decker, I want to see that on somebody else. I think that'd be really fun. But no, I love that. I love the difference in suit acting. It's really good.
Anyway, I wanted to ask you, since, you know, I assume you're just a casual little Decker fan.
A little,
But,
a little.
How did the fandom take the twist? Because when I was watching it, I first, like, initial feelings off the episode, I thought it was out of nowhere as fuck. Of just like, actually, now that I know you're Decker, it's time to reveal that I'm actually an evil alien from the future, of the far, far future, where humanity has taken out my race. So I took the sphere back to the past, just so I could fuck you guys over. And actually, everything has been my giant plan. This giant robot is actually meant to be the Decker killer.
Fuck you, Hanejiro.
And like, I initially thought it was like extremely out of nowhere, especially because like the professor's such a
He's chill.
He's not. He's just a side character. Like, he was literally just a side character up until that point. Like, he was just another member of the select team that arguably had less screen time than even the fucking vice captain.
I did want to like talk about the select team again before I answer your question. I think the reason, like, not necessarily like they get, because I do agree they don't get as much focus, but like comparison to Trigger, which I do think this is a problem of Trigger, and I actually said this wasn't a problem in the last recording, but I kind of retroactively think it might be, or I do agree it is a little problem, but I don't really care. That like, I think the reason the select team feels more, I don't want to say more unique, more better, I don't know, that's not even a proper grammar, but more so like, I enjoy the select team a lot as a whole, just because like, comparison to Trigger, because it was the previous season, just for argument's sake, the larger gut select team in Trigger does not get that much development outside of the main 4 and maybe Marlulu and their captain who you know he's the captain, so you know that's how they do it. But yeah, gut select team, they're all right. But yeah. Anyways,
yeah, how did the Decker fandom take the twist?
So, I don't know about the Ultra fandom as a whole. I think I saw a lot of people. The reaction I saw, which was literally all of the reactions I saw, was that it was positive, but it wasn't necessarily like, oh, this totally fits. It was more positive that like, oh shit, you know, it was cool. Like, it was a surprise. Like, it was a cool surprise. So, specifically with the Agam stuff, I'm not sure if there was many people going, oh, he's totally evil. I personally didn't really bat an eye necessarily. I don't know if I said in the last recording I figured he was evil. I don't remember.
It reminds me of when we talked about the reveal of the Game Master and Geats, of just like I didn't care about this character up enough until like the reveal.
Yeah.
So it feels like it either feels out of nowhere or just like okay.
I do think with the professor specifically, he did have I think in the build up to like or I guess to the build, I guess it is the build up of Terra Phaser, but like in those episodes we do see more screen time with him, we do get more time with him, unlike the Game Master, who he doesn't do anything. He literally does not do anything outside of, hey, we have microtransactions. That's about it. But the professor at least is like, hey guys, here's the guts hawk. Hey guys, you can combine to make the guts griffin. I fixed Hanejiro. I'm making a giant robot. You know, he's at least doing shit, and I appreciate that. But yeah, I'm not sure specifically how the fandom felt with him. The specific like, oh shit, he's from the future. Oh shit, it's future Decker stuff. Everyone I like talked to about Ultraman was very like positive about it.
See, that's the thing. Cool. It was very funny. Like if anyone wants to, or if anyone goes back through my account, you could see some tweets where I was the outsider looking in, because how I initially took Decker, I watched the first 2 episodes, said I was going to continue, and just didn't. And so just being the outsider looking in of just like, where the fuck is this show going? Because I only heard about the big moments, so it's just like, oh, the last thing I remember is Kanata became a member of Gut Select. So cool. All of a sudden, Trigger's back, and I was like, what? And then I hear nothing for a while, and it's like, oh my god, it's Decker from the future, played by Jin, and I was like, what? Where's the show going?
By the way, I love how Jin is just dressed as DMC5 Dante. I appreciate that a lot.
I actually had a moment where I just kind of paused and stared at his outfit. I love the jacket, I love the gloves, I love the pants. I think it's kind of goofy and funny that he just kind of has like some G.I. Joe fucking Snake Eyes armor underneath the jacket. And it's just like, damn, this is how y'all dress in the future? That's crazy.
This is a tangent. I don't get how, like, I don't know if he's actually there from the future. It's some like bullshit, but like if it's some bullshit where it's like he's not actually there, how the fuck did he turn into Decker? You get what I mean? Like, I don't remember because it was a minute ago.
He was like glitching out, but like,
yeah. I don't know if it's like
it felt like it was a projection or something, but I guess he wasn't there.
Yeah, I don't.
But he
is.
Know. But he was. But he is. But he was. But he wasn't. But he was.
There's so many like different variations of like time travel and like fiction as a whole, where it's like, I can sort of get what they're doing.
They established time. They established like their rules for like one line, and then they kind of dropped it. Of just like how, hey, you know, like this won't change our future, by the way. Like, our future still exists. You're just creating an alternate timeline. And he's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. I just want to kill the Earth.
You know, buddy, if you were gonna time travel, you could have just go met your girlfriend, solve the problem. I don't know. Actually, no, that would have made
exactly.
I don't know. I don't care. Screw him. Summon
At
Terra
Gams.
Phaser.
Summon Terra Phaser. Terra Phaser is cool.
I like Terra Phaser. Big fan.
So it's something I kind of touched on a small part earlier, because now that I've thought about it, Terra Phaser is a part of that. I love the action in this show, and I really liked a lot of Terra Phaser's debut stuff.
I love how every single episode of this show has a moment that you can go, "Yep, I'm gonna scream cap this."
Exactly.
Every single episode is like, "Yep, I'm gonna make this my wallpaper for a minute." Like.
Like, it really feels like every episode introduce, like, I wouldn't say like a completely like just like, oh, something we've never seen before, like a breathtaking fight scene, but like they try to keep things new. It's not just like a standard fight of like Kanata grabs the guy, throws him, and then charges his beam, and it's over. It's like it's always something. Like, it's all like sometimes Kanata doesn't get to like. Actually, I don't. Shit, am I forgetting the show I just watched? But
Why? What are you questioning?
I swear there's sometimes Kanata doesn't take down the monster and like one of the guts members do and like
Yes,
the griffin or the
think
terra phaser.
There's a couple. I know there's definitely some with the terra phaser. I think there might be one with the guts griffin. But I'm not sure about,
there's different things from episode to episode, whether it's like, oh, he takes it down with a specific strategy, or he works together with the terra phaser or the griffin, or the griffin itself could like gets a special moment, or the terra phaser. Like it's new.
I love the episode.
It's very
where,
new.
Like the griffin picks him up and he like has it like as a jetpack, and then he like launches from it, and then he switches to strong and he just punches the monster. That's probably like one of my highlights of the show. I just think that was so cool. And just I kind of want to talk about it now if you don't mind. I love the designs of this show. I love Decker.
They really are. Actually, I was iffy about them at first beforehand. Like
I was iffy. I'm iffy on dynamic. But the main
for me, it was the asymmetry of them that kind of threw me off for a bit.
I love
and not only that, but it's just like for most part, Ultraman suits are kind of like just a bunch of solid colors. Mm-hmm. It's like a nice like flat body. No, not flat body. It's just a simple suit. A simple suit that just has solid colors, like patterns on them. Where it's like black and red stripes or red with like some silver things. And it was jarring to me that like, oh, Decker was that, and then he just has like this galaxy chest piece and forehead.
He's got a gauntlet on his arm.
And it's just like, oh, it's very asymmetrical.
Pauldron.
But like as the fights went on, as the episodes went on, I started to really, really love it.
I feel this especially with Strong, like the asymmetry on like his gauntlet, like the golden thing he has. Like I think it is so cool, and like Miracle is kind of my least favorite, to be honest with you. But like I don't. It's fine. I don't really hate. I don't. It's whatever. But like, I don't know. I just think they're so cool, and like to be honest with you, the only issue I have with any of the Dynes is maybe the D Flasher. But like, I just think it's funny that it just kind of looks like a mug.
I said it in the beginning, and I'll say it now. I think the D-Flasher is ugly. I'm sorry. It is.
I just kind of want it like I want like a coffee mug version of it.
I get it's supposed to look like Decker and like his head. But like where it stops working is when he has to flip it out. So it's like it's like Decade Complete 21 ass helmet. Like it's
like there's just I not like I dislike, not like I don't really care like that much. Like it's not like I hate seeing the D Flasher. That sounds weird. But I don't like that. Like there's just a gap when he flips it up. I get that's how I think it was the Reflasher or something in Dyna. I don't remember off the top of my head, but like, it's just a gap now. It's not completed. It's just, you got a big spike coming out. But, I mean, everything. I don't know. I like the sword. The sword's cool. I like
that the sword is it's both for Trigger and Decker. I like that.
I'm okay with the shield caliber.
The one thing I had with the sword, I'm really sad it didn't use both voices. Like I don't know if they couldn't get the guy for the spark lens back, but like,
no, that would have been cool.
I wish it switched to Decker mode and it had the D Flasher voice. But I think but at the same time, I'm okay with it because it's kind of really satisfying to hear the D Flasher voice say the trigger forms. Trigger Sky.
Trigger power. I will say, it's odd to me because it's like, because you're right, it's like, why doesn't it have the Spark Lens voice? But then like you get into the air quotes lore of like, oh, it's from an alternate UZRA or whatever. That was confusing. I will admit, I don't know why that was just
the parts of the trigger lore that they just kind of put in. I was like, sure, yeah, I'm completely following. Yep.
And then it's like, oh, then they bring it back and it's like, oh yeah, me. I don't. Okay, the one thing that still confuses me is Dinah in the future? Is Dinah like with them? I don't know what the deal is with that. I really don't get it.
It's like Kengo made a point like, oh, maybe there's other Ultras that aren't in the ancient civilization, and it's just like, yeah, no, Decker's actually just from the future.
Yeah, it's like even Dyna himself is not from anything. I don't like the Dino lore. He literally just shows up. That's more so coming off of Tiga, which had a lot of lore, and I like the Tiga lore. I like the Giants of Darkness, which is why I like Trigger, because it focuses on that instead of Tiga just kind of abandoning it. But that's besides the point. Anyways, that was my hating on Tiga. But anyways,
good job.
No, thank you, I appreciate it. But yeah, I do wish it had the Sparklin's voice now that you pointed out. But at the same time, it's funny just hearing Decker mode.
I'll bring up this point again, just so the audience gets to know my opinion. I was gonna say I do not like, but that's not true. I think the Decker opening is mid.
Yeah.
In general, if anything, I like when it's used as an insert theme, or I like when the melody is used in the OST itself, but I don't like it as an opening.
You know what this has bugged me about it, but like, I hate that the lyrics that use the form names do not sync up with the footage of the forms. That has bugged me since the start. I don't know why. It just bugs me. Because it's like, Flash. And then it's like, alright, Flash isn't on screen, but okay. And then, it gets to Strong, and it's like, ugh.
I like in the Trigger episode when they use the Decker theme as an insert, and I was like, man, yeah, I'm starting to kind of like the Decker theme. And just when I thought it was over, they start playing the Trigger opening as an insert theme.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Those 2 episodes, I was like, so are they gonna play it? Like, I was like, are they gonna play it? Are they gonna blue ball me? And then I was like in tears. I'm not joking you. I was so happy that it was the insert for them beating the monster. I was like, yes, they're catering to me.
When Kanata, Kengo, and Kengo's hot goth giant GF.
You're right. Keep spitting.
Pose together, and then you hear the bang bang. The guitar starts going crazy, and I was like, oh shit. I'm glad
Kengo and her worked out their issues. I'm glad they're happy.
You know, we talked about it in the previous recording, but as someone who hasn't seen Trigger, so I didn't understand why people shipped them. Seeing the romantic tension between them whenever they interact is kind of crazy.
Yeah, but I'm here for it.
You know, when Kengo pulled her out of the monster and just held her like that, I
was right. What, bro? It's cute.
No, I'm not saying as in it shouldn't have happened. I'm saying damn, bro. Kengo has Riz. Kengo got some Riz in it. He got that.
You see his outfits in the episode.
He got the ultra. Not only is Kengo a little bit of a stand-up fellow, he's a little bit of an attractive fellow. He's a man of a light.
Dude hasn't aged a day. Dude, it's been 10 years.
Exactly. You know, I don't know how he did it. 10 years later, he still looks the exact same, man. Ultraman, I need answers.
He's different. The fact he's coming back, too.
It's so funny. It's really
fighting
so
on the
funny.
moon.
I really hope, because what is it? It's Tiga, Dyna, Gaia. So the next one would be a next gen Gaia. Maybe.
Yep.
If they do another,
looking hopeful.
If they do another time skip, and they bring Kengo back again, it's oh man, I swear, guys, it's been 20 years. Don't question why you look the exact same.
I will say, so Tiga and Dyna are set in the same universe and the same Earth, but Gaia is his own thing. So I do wonder if they're gonna, continue with that, and Gaia's gonna be separate, or they're gonna try to make this trilogy more connected than the original one they're basing it off of, where it's they're gonna set new gen Gaia in the same Earth. I do wonder if they'll do that, but that's a wait and see. And he's supposed to be Kaya or something. I don't know. The leaks are confusing me. But I'm hopeful.
Ultra fans are in a weird spot. But I think as a whole, Super Raya is in a amazing spot. While the qualities of their shows, writing wise, is here or there. It can be debated. I think as a whole, Super Raya is doing good for themselves. They're doing great.
I think they put out a lot. Like, we have most of the Ultra shows outside of pretty much.
Yeah, no, there. You can watch
Beyond.
more. You can watch more Ultra than you can watch like Sentai and Rider legally combined.
More Rider than anything. Like, pretty much like Sentai. I'll give like a pass.
Sentai, yeah, they're starting
like,
to get. They're starting to release more stuff.
And like Sentai, it's like, all right, there was some legal shit. You know, they figured it out. Cool, whatever, fine. I respect. At least they're coming back. But Rider is completely fumbling because Toei's like.
The more popular the season, the more money we want.
And I don't know if this is public knowledge. I don't know if it is. This is just what I've been told. So if I get in trouble, this is on the podcast. But or not. Well, it is on the. You get what I mean. Like, it's the podcast's fault. But whatever. I believe it's because Toei thinks of every Rider season as a separate show. It's not like a season thing like Ultraman considers it, I believe. So like you get like so 01, they got the rights to 01. That's it. They don't get anything else. They just get 01. They don't get like the rest of Reiwa or something like that. It's literally that's the single show you get. Which sure, fine, you can work it out like that, but the fact that Toei is charging them so much money to do this, it's a little ridiculous. And on top of the fact, multiple people are releasing Rider seasons like, okay, we got Shout with 01 and Kuga in the original 71 show, and, you know, on Tube, and two of them got Blu-rays, fine, whatever. But now you have Discotheque doing Black, and that's a whole much higher quality release, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't know, Toei, I think you're fumbling a little bit with not having one concrete place releasing all this stuff. And
Super Raya over here, like, now, like, you can watch our current shows as they air on YouTube live and with multi-language subtitles. They have that on the thumbnail of each episode, multi-language subtitles.
We'll re-upload the episodes. We're re-uploading them. Don't worry about it. We got you.
Bro, they have English dubs. They advertise in the English dubs on the damn episodes.
Not to mention, they just let full uploads of the show on YouTube. Like I can go watch the Ghia on YouTube if I really wanted to. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah, exactly. All the Toku dub people. Don't do Kamen Rider Abridged, man. Do goddamn Ultraman Abridged.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Super Raya will give you a pat on the back and a kiss on the forehead. They will love you.
They'll be like, go ahead. No, I've actually been talking about that. I do want to do an Ultraman dub. That'd be really fun.
It will be very much possible. I think, who is it? Knight of Spear? Knight of Spear has like I think both a Jeed, Ginga, and I think maybe Rube. Or maybe someone else did Rube, but he has multiple Ultraman dubs that he did like years ago, and they are still up. Like it is crazy to me.
I gotta watch those. I've never heard of that. That sounds crazy.
They are still up, bro. Super Raya is something else. And then I wasn't there a whole story of like a team of like artists trying to do like manga or something or some kind of like fan project for Rider. And Toei shut them down, so Super Raya got them instead.
Maybe? I've never heard of that. That might be...
It was a story I heard a while back. I don't know if it's true.
That sounds familiar.
It might have been how the Ultraman manga started.
Maybe. Could be. I actually don't know, to be honest with you.
It's also crazy, like, how much content there is for Ultraman and how international it is. Because... I believe a lot of Shin Ultraman got screening somewhere in the U.S. and the States.
Yes, I watched a video on that. Even the director came to one, like in New York. There was a showing and he pulled up.
That's great. And then then you have the Ultraman Netflix adaptation, which is of debatable quality, but like it's still there. It's there. It's there.
It's there.
They
They hit the gritty in the ending dance.
it's there. You know, it's certainly there. Which you know,
And then
it's they got a lot.
they have
They
my favorite thing, which is Ultra Galaxy Fight. I adore
those
that
look.
series.
I want to watch those, but they look confusing to me because it looks like, oh, this is like just a bunch of Ultraman lore compact, and they
You
just
want me
fight.
to be real with you? Honestly,
What?
this is still like a heavy load of shit to watch, but like watching like all the new gen stuff in order, I feel I will champion this because I'm a new gen guy. I adore new gen, but like watching all that in order, it gives you such a good like figuring out or not figuring out. It tells you a lot about, you know, Ultraman seasons that like you probably wouldn't want to watch or like don't have an interest in like I don't know, what's an example of one I don't really want to watch or don't have an interest in. I guess Max, like Ultraman Max. I don't know.
The Jacob impact.
The Jacob impact. That was going on strong today. Did you see that? That was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But no, just watching New Gen, it like a lot of past guys show up and they give like a little brief synopsis of their show or whatever, what have you, and then it's like, all right, I know what this guy's deal is, but kind of a benefit of the Ultra Galaxy Fight and a knock people have against it, it's sort of like a kind of greatest hits of like a character in a sense. Like a lot of them don't get like development. They're just kind of there for the spectacle.
A lot of it is like,
it's just,
I don't know.
It's really
Which is
cool.
why maybe I'll talk about this on another podcast. But I think Ultraman fans underestimate how intimidating their franchise is from the outside perspective looking in.
I feel like maybe
it's a topic.
Maybe I don't.
It's a topic that happens a lot of the time. Fucking local tokutuber Ghially gets like he gets hated on every time he talks about it or even dares talk about Ultraman. But like, I always think he had a point of, if you absolutely know nothing about Ultraman and you solely look, like you solely have an outsider looking in perspective of seeing things like where, even though like someone like me who is still not into Ultraman at all, who has seen Geed, a show where they have the forms made out of legacy stuff. If you didn't, like, even if you didn't watch it, like, you still, you don't, like, the average person doesn't know that. Like, sure, you can explain it to them, but it's just like, okay, but, like, basically, almost every season has this. Like, and like, you can, I feel like it's definitely there. The argument is there that more than Sentai and Rider, Ultraman is a toku that really actually goes out of its way to have a connected universe that feels together. Like again, the Ultramen are a race of people that have a dedicated planet that they come from and everything. And like, and maybe that's why, you know what, maybe this is the Trigger love cast. Maybe that's why something like Trigger is a good thing, that has its own continuity and stuff.
Yes.
And so
it's
like,
reimagining.
Trigger's
and it's better.
Trigger would be a starting point. It's new lore. It's a new lore that's starting up.
And it's not like, and the only thing you need to know is that, like, hey, this is based on an old show, but it doesn't really reference the old show that much. He just kind of shows up randomly, but that's fine. You don't need to worry about it. And that's there. But, yeah, that's
but just
it.
Like, without stuff like that, like it's definitely intimidating. And I think people for some reason really undermine that. Like, for some reason, a lot of people like use examples of like, oh, like but people still watch Decade, but people still watch like Go Kaiju. And it's like, okay, but stuff like that is usually like one-off things every couple years. But like with a lot of new gen Ultraman, it's kind of season after season sometimes. Like, I'm glad they're kind of going at like, shit, man, maybe Trigger is the way. Maybe like, Trigger. But Trigger, they're like, oh man, now they're just going back to basic stuff. Like, oh, it's like this is your power one.
They didn't do that.
This is your power one. This is your speed one. This is red, blue, all that stuff. But like,
this is the one that just kind of is good.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just like, oh yeah. But aside like from that, it looks extremely connected.
I I've always found trying to like, not necessarily like I'm arguing for it, but I've always like been like sort of a guy. My I love the interconnected universe of Ultraman and Power Rangers too. Like both
it definitely seems like an upside of the franchise.
I adore it so much because like I've said, I think Don Brothers a little bit, Zenkaiger a little bit, has been kind of like trying to connect Sentai a little bit more maybe, but I don't think they're there yet. They're not to the level these two are. And Ryder's just kind of, I don't know, I fucking hate Ryder.
Yeah, Ryder doesn't give a fuck.
I both don't care, but there's times where I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if Aruto just showed up for a season or something? He was just kind of there. He was 03. I don't know. I always thought that'd be cool, right? I'm just using Aruto as the example for that. But like,
is that why you like Gio so much? Because like Tsukasa is such a casual guy that could make a cameo.
No, I just like Gio because it's well written. It is great. Sogo's a great protagonist, but that's besides the point. We'll do a Gio episode. I'll just force it to happen, but that's besides the point. No, sorry. Anyways, I don't know. I've always been like, I feel like it's only scary when you don't want to get into it, I feel. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like I'm like, because when I watched Ultraman for the first time, I don't even remember why I did. I just know Jeed was the first one I sat through. And I was like, alright, this Zero guy is pretty cool. I'm going to watch all of his shit. And maybe because I was like, I was willing to like just kind of do it. I just kind of did it. I watched the Zero movies. I watched some of the Zero specials. I was like, all right, I know the Zero stuff, so I can watch Jeed. But I don't know. I never was like afraid of it because I guess I never kind of realized. Because this was like, when did Jeed come out? 2017.
Yeah.
I don't want to say like I was not necessarily because I was around for a minute in the fandom. Not like the fandom matters, but like I was watching Toku for a minute. But it was never sort of like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I never really. I don't know. I don't know why I picked up G. I'm glad I did.
I feel like it's a similar thing to comics in which of just like because I've gotten into comics recently, so I can compare it to getting into Ultraman. Of just like, it's very intimidating. Like, sure, you have a character that maybe stands out to you, that you care about a lot. Like maybe you saw it from a different thing, and so like, you want to get into it, but you're scared of like, because comics might be so like interconnected, and you have to. If you want to enjoy one, you have to read a whole other story and like all that stories.
Get into Spider-Man, you gotta go read Amazing Fantasy 15.
All that stuff, and it's just like the answer to both comics and Ultraman. It's very similar of how scary it could seem on the outside, when in the reality it's like you can just watch it, and sure, like there's a chance like they introduce something or an element of whatever you're consuming that feels like you need to go like watch something else to enjoy it. But the reality is, when it comes to media like this, specifically like hero pop culture, hero media, superhero media, whenever something happens that references past events that is not in the thing you're watching, the writer will do its best. If they're a decent writer, I guess. I don't know. It depends on it depends on what the media is for. The writer will usually do its best to make that element enjoyable for someone who doesn't know what it is. And that's what happens a lot in comics. That's what I argue. That's how they handled Zero in Jeed.
Exactly.
That's how they handled Trigger and Decker. Like as someone who knows absolutely nothing about Kengo and his story, I still really enjoyed him in Decker.
And I think even more so to the point of like talking about the legacy elements, because I know that's a big air quotes criticism. I guess it is a genuine criticism some people have, and I don't personally think it is.
It depends on you see it. It could be a mark against the series, but like again, having such an interconnected thing could feel like an upside. Like that's the appeal of the MCU after all.
True. All right, I guess I'll save my thing. What do you think of the legacy gimmicks? Do you care, or is it like
I used to care before I got into it? Of just like, okay, does that mean every Ultra is like connected to the previous one, like in such a big way? But it's just like no. Most of the time, the current Ultra doesn't even know who the fuck those guys are, and he's like, cool, new form. I think it's really funny, and Gede's just like, I don't know who this guy is, so I'm just gonna use him.
I love how it's like, I think my favorite one in Gede is like Cosmos just shows up at the end, like the last episode. It's like, bro, you weren't even in the fucking show. What are you doing? like at least Hikari is there. Like we know, like Zero. Well, I guess 0 and 7 that works, but Leo and 7, like, yeah, sure, those are Leo 7's. There's too many people. Those are Zero's mentors and his dad, 7. But like, you know, that's a connectivity. It gets why they're there. But Cosmos is just like, yeah, I'm here. He pulled up, sure. But
and it's like I can relate it to comics because again, like I said, I'm getting into comics, but I recently felt that when it comes to my favorite character ever. Like in just as superheroes is Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. Ooh, and nice. reading her run, her 2015 run, which is her second run ever. You have the first 6 issues, and then apparently like 14 issues of the Avengers happens, and then it continues Kamala's story. And I was like, I don't want to read that, so I just continued on anyway. And sure, it was a little confusing. Like, for the most part, it eventually just goes back to Kamala's story. It's like, as long as you... sure, you can just be like, man, do I have to really go consume it? It's like, no, just get a general gist, really, and you can kind of go on. And even then, sometimes they'll just try to, like, explain it for you.
And then there's always just... This isn't my point. This isn't my thoughts on it, but it's kind of just like, at some point, just kind of read the wiki if you really want to. Like, I'm not saying you should instead of watching the show. Right, but in the case of something like, using the Kamala example, right, I feel like I just read the wiki for that, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't want to sit through 14 issues just to read her stuff, you know?
Yeah, there's also stuff like the big events like Civil War, so it's like, oh, it affects everyone else's runs, too.
Even though it really shouldn't, but yeah, sure, go ahead.
That's what stuff like Ultra Galaxy Fight feels like from the outside, when really it's just like, oh, it's just shit for the sake of being cool.
Wanna know what the funniest thing about Ultra Galaxy Fight is?
Yeah.
Every time it has been a prequel to the currently airing show. So it's like, oh, these aren't happening concurrently. These things happened already. So it's just kind of, I think that's funny. That the way you nice. Described it. But to go on my thoughts on the legacy stuff, I feel like I don't think it's a big deal. I really, honestly, you'll find, I think a lot of people can find out through this podcast, a lot of things don't bother me. I just kind of go with it, because it's like, yeah, sure, whatever. But to what I actually think about the legacy gimmicks, well, I do think that, but that was just setting up. I feel like the legacy gimmicks go off of, like, just kind of aesthetics alone. You don't see, like, at least personally, and actually, no, I've seen most of the times they use the legacy gimmicks, so, you know, I think I'm a good judge of this. It's not like they're ripping off of the previous season or that Ultra's motifs, I guess, in a sense. It's not like it's a direct reference. It's not like they go a whole episode of Gede going like, oh my god, this is just like what happened in 7. Am I going to get the 7 capsule? Or something, you know? Or like in Orb, where it's just kind of like, yeah, these Ultras fought. Orb's like whole thing is that the monster sealed the I don't know, it's a whole thing. The Ultra sealed the monsters he was fighting, but he gets the cards of those Ultras from those monsters, or he unlocks them. I forget how it works, but you know, it's not necessarily like you're ripping off the episodes. Like, especially everyone talks about, oh, the Ultra gimmick sucked, but Rube, they literally they get these crystals. They get the crystals with the past Ultras on them, and they're literally like, who the fuck are these guys? And it's like, they don't care. And like, if the show, I feel like if the show doesn't care, why should you care, right? And maybe, I'm not trying to be like, oh,
they're just the powers.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in like,
it's if anything, a lot of new gen shows are kind of similar to like Revice minus George.
Yes,
of just exactly. Like, oh yeah, I don't know who the hell the guy on this stamp is, but it gives me cool powers.
Like, especially with, I think Revice is interesting because it's like, okay, you have George acknowledging all these guys, but then Ikki, Sakura, whoever, do not give a fuck. They do not care who is on their stamp. They just use them. And it's like, yeah, that's fine. That's weird to me that, like, people don't care about that, but then Ultra, I guess it's because Ultra's been doing it, but you could argue Ryder's also been kind of doing it, especially with, like, Revice coming decently a bit after, not decently a bit after, but like coming after Geo. You know, I think it's interesting. Not saying like
there could be an argument that people just kind of go out of their way to shit on Ultraman whenever they can.
I'm not trying to make that argument. I'm not saying like I've seen it, but you know, there are some people who just kind of shit on Ultraman, which I don't necessarily like.
It's simple. It's just Ultraman isn't for some people. Like I thought Ultraman wasn't for me for a while. And the real answer is just, you know, a lot of the times when it comes to things like these, I truly think, like, unless you just absolutely hate the structure or the genre as a whole, and it's just none of it at all is for you, I never think, like, I don't know, you simply just haven't watched the one, you know?
I don't think
like,
it's
you haven't watched the one yet.
I don't know if you feel like this. You can feel free to disagree with me. I don't agree with shitting on a whole franchise just because, like, I get, sure, you don't have to like it. I'm not saying that. But you're shitting on, like, you're shitting on a bunch of people's work that clearly they put a lot of time and effort into. And it's, I don't know, like, you can not like it, but going, like, just kind of disregarding Ultraman as, like, part of the, I don't want to call it the big three, but, like, it is the big three of Toku. A little bit, it's kind of the big four with Godzilla too, but you know what I mean. Like, in terms of the TV shows, it's Ultraman, Sentai, and Rider. That's it. And I don't know, just kind of disregarding like its impact just kind of pisses me off. I feel the same way about
Ultraman has been around longer than the other two.
I feel the same way about Power Rangers too, in a sense. Even more so because I just have such a connection with Power Rangers. It's just kind of like, okay. You don't like Power Rangers, fine, whatever, but why do you continuously talk about it and shit on it? It's like, what do you gain? Because, like, I don't know. I don't agree with the people shitting
It's just, like, I used to think the entirety of Ultraman was just boring, and, like, I would never watch it, but then I got into G. I loved it. And I like Shin Ultraman. Like, there's pieces here and there of the franchise that you'll,
exactly.
There inevitably has to be something you will enjoy.
It's, I don't know, because a lot of people talk about the format that they don't like, and it's like, I don't know, man.
Especially different because, like something you can actually get out of Ultraman that you can't get out of Rider and Sentai. Like, there's a variety of formats.
Yeah.
Like, sure, Rider just got to have something different. With now you have Amazon Prime shows now. Sure, you have like a lot of side content, TTFC stuff.
We're getting a movie. We might get more, maybe.
All that stuff, but for a while, Ultraman has had a variety of shows of there's long shows, there's short shows, there's specials, there's all this stuff. There's spin-offs.
Dedicated recap shows. That's crazy. We're just gonna air a recap.
There's a manga/anime. There's Shin Ultraman now. There's a
other
lot
mangas.
of stuff.
They have they just have random shit where they have people fight each other. There's no
Ultraman has a very diverse range of content.
I don't know. I guess it's sort of just like.
I'm glad it's kind of been their year. Like it's like they've been popping off this year.
I don't know. I just feel like this is a general statement to anybody who's listening. If you're this far in, which I don't know how far it is, but you know, it's just I don't know. I think there's got to be something for somebody. I feel that about anything. Like there's something for somebody. Like when I was trying to get my friends into Rider, none of them, like my one friend was like, yeah, I can't get into this. But then, like, I told him about Futo PI, and he was like, I can watch that. I'm fine with anime. It's just the live action stuff doesn't bug me, or bugs me a little bit. It's like, all right, fine, sure, do that. I don't know if he's watched it, but you know, at least it's the thought that counts, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Ultraman's great.
Well, I'm glad, just like Ultraman Decker Kanata, Asumi, and his friends at Gut
I
Select.
guess before we wrap up, what are your thoughts, like, on the show as a whole, as of now?
It's a good show. I would like if it were to end right now somehow. I would rate it a 7 out of 10. Like it is a good show, especially after like seeing more of the highlights of the show so far. It definitely made me like enjoy the entire show as a whole even more. So I like thinking back on certain episodes. I get more enjoyment out of thinking about it. I get more hype thinking about how it could possibly end. I feel like by the end it'll probably be a better show. Like I always have hopes that it'll be a better show when it ends.
Really?
So I'm glad to see where it goes. And if anything, I hope Kengo comes back for the finale.
Don't worry, bro. It's in the scans. He's coming back. It's okay.
I don't care how he gets there. I just want there to be the final fight, and Kengo's like, "You need some help?" Flies down.
I need them to have Dinah show up. That's the one thing. They've ticked off every box. That's the one thing they need to get. They need to get Asuka back, and they need to get fucking him to sing the Zenkaiger song. That'd be fun.
Oh yeah, he did do that. I forgot about that.
I agree with your sentiments. I don't know. It's not like I guess I do love Decker, but it's not like a thing. It's not like a Zet love or like even a Trigger love, which I'm not saying like I guess I do love Trigger. I guess I've made that clear, but like it's not something I'm going to talk about 24/7. Do you get what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I love Decker, but I'm not like going, "Oh man, guys, did you watch Decker this week?" It's just kind of like a one and done, I feel. But that's kind of what not to like drag this on more. But that's kind of what I love about Ultraman in the sense, because it's kind of like, it sort of feels like my own thing. Do you get what I mean? Like, it feels low-key, where it's just kind of like, yeah, that was great. I don't got to talk to anyone about this. You know what I mean? Like with Geets or like Dawn Brothers, it's kind of like, you know, I'm just talking. Not like I got to talk about it, but like, you know, it's just the conversation that everyone has. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense? I don't know.
Well...
Yeah.
Like Kanata and Gut Select in the show, we have made the best of our current situation and tried to scrap together what we could for this week's College Boy Taisen. But
I think it was quite good.
I enjoyed our little discussion, and there is a further upside. Usually, you know, I like to put two characters in the thumbnail, and you know, if things went as planned, it would have been Decker and Black Sun, obviously. But now we didn't talk about Black Sun, so now I could put Decker and twice? Trigger.
You could put Decker twice. It could be future Decker.
We could put Decker twice, or you could put Decker and Trigger.
Can you please put Hanejiro in the thumbnail?
I'll put Hanejiro somewhere, yes.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. No, wait. I don't know. Can go in the thumbnail. Might go hard.
How do you feel? Give your little wrapping thoughts for now about Decker.
College Boy, on Decker. I was gonna say about College Boy Taisen. I don't know why. Are we counting this as episode? Oh wait, is this still episode 10? Are we counting this?
I don't know. No, honestly, I don't know.
I will say, if this is episode 10, if we number it as episode 10, I'm actually not impressed that we got it to episode 10, but like. I think it's cool that we got to episode 10.
We've been going for this long.
And,
and we'll make it to 20.
We'll make it to 20, and then we'll talk about Geo.
True. Oh, yeah. That could be nice. A nice little 20 number.
Decker as a whole, it's fun. Great show. Great.
Maybe by the time it ends, I'll be more confident saying it's a great show.
I think it's top 5. I think it's top 5 for me. Top 5? Yeah, top 5. I'll put it top 5. I'm being daring today. But Ultraman Decker.
You know it's funny everything. when you see a small amount of shows, you have a small list. So technically, I can say Decker's top 3.
Yup. Wait, wait, so G...
I'm counting Shin Ultraman as an entry.
That doesn't count! One of these days we're gonna watch Ultraman. We're gonna watch Nexus. That's what I do want to watch.
I'll count the first 2 episodes of Orb as my 3rd entry.
All right, fair enough. No,
Well,
you can
we
put Orb
have
honestly.
we have been College Boy Tyson. Back
College
at
Boy
it.
Select.
College Boy Select. We've hoped to bring you a Black Sun discussion, but instead we brought you an hour and a half about the handsome man known as Kango and his friend Decker.
Love Kango, smile, smile, pull the trigger. I am the darkness and the light, whatever he says. He's great.
I love Ultraman Kingdom Hearts. Goodbye, everyone.
Wait, follow us on Twitter.
Wait, that's right. We can't curse it anymore. At Guy Solg, yes, Jacob.
Ghially, the L's are eyes.
Those are eyes, of course.
Bankai, had to get one in.
Bankai, goodbye.
Goodbye. I'm gonna